Scottie Scheffler, 9 under, shot a 65 today. The big story, though, is that he was arrested this morning at 5, I think like 5 o'clock or
5 something in the morning.
Local time there?
Early in the morning. It was still dark out. It's one of the stranger stories that you'll ever see. And he made it. He went to jail, got processed, booked, released, made his tee time, and shot a 65? What in the hell?
Well,
you can't make that up.
Yeah, he was stuck in traffic. So what happened was, and it's very tragic, that a vendor at the PGA Championship was struck by a
shuttle bus. And that's the crappy part about this, is that we're all focused on this. And dude, someone died, which is why the whole thing started with that. That's why all the traffic and the police were there, is someone died.
Yeah, so this guy was struck and killed, and that backed up traffic leading into the entrance to Valhalla. Now, what you should also know, I think it's important to note, that there is video of Will Zalatoris and Cam Young walking into the venue. And what Will Zalatoris said after his round was, he said, I've been griping about this all week. It wasn't just that traffic was backed up because of that accident. He said, this place has been a mess to the point where, in terms of logistics, he said, to the point where I told my parents not even to show up. He said, it's been a real problem. Apparently they've got a huge issue with congestion right there as they all go in there. So anyway, this accident occurs. Scottie Scheffler is driving. Mm-hmm. He is almost to the entrance.
Yeah, I don't know if people realize this, but at these events, they give the players cars that are marked. Like whoever the sponsor is, Buick or Genesis, whoever's the sponsors, they give them a car. It's marked with PGA Championship, but the players drive themselves for the most part to and from wherever they're staying in the course. So no one was in the car with Scheffler. It was just him, and he was getting to the course nice and early.
So traffic was stopped on his side, and so he ventures to the other side where traffic was coming through, but there was also a detective there, Detective Gillis, as we have now come to find out his name is Detective Gillis.
And he was, so it is clear because there's a lot of different, reports. He was in full police uniform with a bright yellow vest, indicating he was indeed an officer. Because some people were saying, oh, Scheffler didn't know he was a cop. No, he was in full uniform. So he did know he was a cop.
So... yeah, so basically the crux of it is the guy told him that he couldn't go through, and Scheffler tried to, apparently there was a median or a curb, and he tried to go through anyway, and Scheffler is saying, and then the Detective Gillis grabs onto his car, Scheffler turns into Valhalla, stops, and the guy had, he tore his $80 pants. They're irreparable.
I kid you not. In Detective Gillis's report, he says that his pants valued at $80 are damaged beyond repair. That's in a police report.
Yeah, I'll read you that in a second. But anyway, this is where it gets a little hairy. And Jeff Darlington of ESPN happened to be standing right there, and he saw this whole thing.
Yeah, he was in the car behind Scheffler.
He has outlined all of it. He said he was standing by the front. I don't think he was in a car behind him.
Yeah, he said
he was standing.
Well, he was in the car behind Scheffler, and then he got out. But yeah, he didn't know that it was Scheffler. He just saw the whole thing, and then he's like, "Oh my God!" And then at one point, while Scheffler's being arrested, he turns to Darlington and says, "Can you help me?"
Yeah,
because he realizes who it is.
Yeah, so it got the cop reaches into the car to open the door, grabs Scottie's arm, pulls him out of there, and arrests him.
Put him up against the car and the whole deal.
They cuffed him and put him in jail, and Scheffler said he did not know if he was going to get out in time to make his tee time, but they cut him loose, and he made it and shot 65. So that's really what happened. What Scheffler is saying is that he said it was a complete miscommunication and a misunderstanding about what the cop told him to do.
Yeah, because
we don't know if that's true or not.
Well, supposedly, again, there's so much information going on around this. The one that I heard that Scheffler seems to be leaning into is that even with the kerfuffle, they were saying that the players had some sort of badge on the car and they could get waved through. And he's claiming that someone told him, you can just go through and flash this and they will let you through even in the traffic. The cop story is he told Scheffler, no, you're not doing that. He didn't know who he was. and that Scheffler went ahead anyways. My guess is the truth lies somewhere in between these two things.
Well, I think one of the areas where there seems to be a misunderstanding is that Scheffler did not know that guy was not your typical traffic.
See, I find that hard to believe.
Traffic cop. He's saying that he didn't, and then the detective didn't know that was Scottie Scheffler, and maybe the detective didn't know of because he's not normally there. He was there because of the death.
Yes.
So he didn't really know of the protocol with players trying to get into Valhalla. Although I would imagine he should know about that. It's Valhalla, and it's hosting the PGA Championship. At any rate, here are some clips. So Scottie got off the golf course, and he did talk about it, and here's what he said.
I feel like my head's still spinning. I can't really explain what happened this morning. I did spend some time stretching in a jail cell. That was a first for me. That was part of my warm-up. I was just sitting there waiting, and, I started going through my warm-up. I felt like there was a chance I may be able to still come out here and play, and so I started going through my routine. I tried to get my heart rate down as much as I could today, but like I said, I still feel like my head's spinning a little bit, but yeah, I was fortunate to be able to make it back out and play some golf today.
Do you think the other guys in there were like getting putting tips and stuff before he got?
Well, he did say in there that he was hoping he could make his tee time, so he said he started to go through his stretching routine.
Yeah,
in the cell.
That's what he just said.
Yeah,
that was the clip we just played. And here he says he saw himself on ESPN in jail.
I didn't really know. I was just so confused at what was happening at the time that, I didn't know what time it was. I didn't know what was going on. But when I was sitting in like the holding cell or whatever, there was a TV there, and I could see myself on the TV on ESPN, and it was Get Up was on, and so in the corner it showed the time, and it said they were delayed, and I was kind of thinking about my tee time. I was like, well, maybe I could be able to get out. The officers downstairs had. They were discussing how long it was going to take me to get released. Obviously you have to go through all the due process and everything. And, I was able to kind of see a bit of the TV, and, then I laid down, and then I started to stretch a little bit once I got my heart rate down a little bit.
This is just, so I've read so many different reports. I've listened to Darlington's, who was right there and saw, from his point of view, what happened. My guess is it went something like this. Detective gets called out because there's a death. And my guess is that when there is a investigation involving a dead body, that cop's probably not in the best mood, right? He gets called out early in the morning and there's someone that's dead. He's probably pissed. It's rainy. It's dark. He doesn't want to be up at 5 a.m. Maybe, by the way, this cop is just a red ass to begin with. And I promise you that Scheffler was not just like, oh, I didn't know. Scheffler was annoyed because he was sitting in traffic. Scheffler was annoyed because it was affecting his ability to get to the course. He probably was annoyed that the cop told him that he couldn't go around this mess. And Scheffler probably was like, dude, I need to get around. I was told I could get around. I'm just going to do this. And then the cop obviously got super pissed that he wasn't obeying his orders. But Scheffler's trying to pull I was very cooperative. I had no idea what was going on. It was dark. Can we just all grow up a little bit? And we've all been in that situation where we're late, we're annoyed, we don't want to deal with this, we're being told no. There's a sense of entitlement, and he tries to go around, and then the cop overreacted. Scheffler probably handled it very poor at the beginning, and my guess is the cop handled it very poorly once Scheffler tried to go up onto the shoulder.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened. It's really hard to say, although I would say that teed up cop versus low key golfer is an otherworldly matchup. I have no idea how to handicap that.
Yeah.
I really don't see Scottie Scheffler being the type to resist arrest and then drive off with a cop hanging from his car.
Well, that's
at the same time
from the car.
Well, that's what they said. At the same time, I don't know. Maybe there'll be video of it that will emerge. Who knows? I would imagine that all of this gets.
Well, like
I feel like this is all going to go away.
Yes.
Look, here's the thing. The governor of Kentucky and the mayor of Louisville were both in there today. And by the way, at the tournament. Yeah. And the other thing is that you know who went and picked Scottie up from the jail?
Head of Valhalla.
The guy who owns Valhalla.
Yes.
So when you look at that guy, plus the governor, plus the mayor going, look, we make a lot of money off this damn tournament. You can't be arresting golfers, especially the number one player in the world coming into the tournament. Something tells me this may all just be wiped away as a misunderstanding, and that's going to piss people off because it's the white privilege golfer thing,
Sure.
but I think in every instance like this, and you've tried to do this too. I know as we've talked about different cases over the years of arrests or athletes in trouble or even non-athletes in trouble, you have to take each case for what it is,
Yes.
and the facts of each. So let's not try to make blanket statements about race or anything else. In this instance, just my opinion, I think this is all going to go away, and I think Scottie saying, hey, this is all a giant misunderstanding, I think he's more right. It seems to me that cop was in a bad mood and a little pissed off, and he said the wrong thing to him, and before you know it, he's thrown behind bars, and he doesn't know what the hell happened.
Calmer head should have prevailed, right? But like the report that the cop filled out, again, with like the pants being damaged beyond repair, and
oh, let me read that to you.
Just really, Detective Gillis, can you grow up too here with this? Like, Scheffler, you weren't just like the sweetest guy in the world that had no idea what was going on. And the detective, you weren't run over. They said he was attached to the car. Dude, every report says that he was banging on the window and that the car went 10 feet. You know how long it takes a car to go 10 feet? He was going 1 mile an hour. Let's not act like it was the Dukes of Hazzard and the cop was drugged behind. The cop was probably banging on his window. Scheffler went 10 feet. The cop stumbled, fell, skinned his knee, and then got up and was beyond pissed at that point. And once the cop gets knocked down, I don't care who that was, that guy was going to arrest him because Detective Gillis didn't want to be there in the first place, and he was pissed off and probably embarrassed that he fell down and skinned his knee.
So the 4 charges are assault in the 2nd degree of a police officer, criminal mischief 3rd degree, reckless driving, and disregard signals from officers directing traffic. That first charge is a felony, and one attorney I saw was quoted today saying it's really unusual for them to release somebody who has assaulted a police officer.
Yes.
Right? Like if that charge right there.
Yeah, you're going in for a while.
Yeah, they're not just going to let you go. So that they thought that was weird. That it's like, okay, they charged him with that, but then they let him go an hour later. Yeah. So that
someone got a hold and was like, dude.
Well, that just tells you that that's not going to stick. No. And then the other thing too is, I mean, did we really need a mugshot put out there? Good grief. Here's what
street cred, baby, street cred.
Here's what the police report, what was in the police report. It says, Detective Gillis was directing traffic into Gate 1 of the Valhalla Golf Course due to the road being closed in both directions from an earlier fatal collision. Listed subject was driving eastbound to gain access to the course. Subject pulled into the westbound lanes where southbound traffic was flowing and to avoid... where outbound traffic was flowing. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
And to avoid backed up traffic. Detective Gillis was in the middle of the westbound lanes in full LMPD uniform and a high visibility yellow reflective rain jacket. Detective Gillis stopped subject and attempted to give instructions. Subject refused to comply and accelerated forward, dragging Detective Gillis to the ground. Detective Gillis suffered pain, swelling, and abrasions to his left wrist and knee. He was transported to the hospital for further medical treatment by emergency medical personnel. Detective Gillis' uniform pants, valued at approximately $80, were damaged beyond repair.
You can't fix those. Who's going to make these pants right? Again, can we just tone down the rhetoric here and like drug him to the ground? This is where I said both sides. Like Scheffler, I guarantee Scheffler was an ass. I guarantee he was like, dude, I need to get to my tee time. That it said I could do this. I'm going to go. And once that cop felt like he was not being respected, you will respect my authority. He went all John Wayne, got a little Johnny Cash in his blood, and, you know, there you go. And haven't we all had a run-in with authority where we get a little mouthy?
Well, I'll tell you what.
You know.
I told you the story before where I ran into high T cop.
Yeah.
Pissed off cop.
Yeah.
Dude, I did exactly as that man said.
Yes.
And I mean exactly.
And this is where
he came back and thanked me.
Yeah. That's what I'm just saying. Hey, Scottie, I understand that you're annoyed and that you got to get to your tee time and golf is very important to you. But when you've got a guy with a badge and a gun and he tells you no, you might want to say no. You know, like or accept the fact that he's telling you no. And you might try to work out another way other than I was confused and I decided to do what I want to do.
So here's one more clip of Scottie after the round.
Yeah, first of all, you know, my sympathies go out to the family of Mr. Mills. I can't imagine what what they're going through this morning. You know, one day he's heading to the golf course to watch a tournament, and you know, a few moments later he's trying to cross the street, and now he's no longer with us. So I can't imagine what they're going through. My heart, you know, I feel for them. I'm sorry. My situation will get handled. It was just it was a chaotic situation and a big misunderstanding. And I can't comment on any of the specifics of it. So I feel like y'all are gonna be disappointed, but can't comment on any specifics. But my situation will be handled. It was just a big misunderstanding. So if y'all got any questions about the golf today, I'm happy to answer them. But outside of that, I can't really get into what transpired outside of, you know, my heart goes out to the family.
Smart play.
Yeah.
Make sure you note, and he did in his statement too. You got to remember someone died.
Exactly.
But also, my stuff will get handled. That's going to rub some people the wrong way.
Sure.
As well.
Well, this already is going to rub people the wrong way, and you know,
He's like, yeah, this is going to go away because I'm going to make it go away.
I said at the beginning, like I was talking to a buddy of mine, when you encounter an officer of the law, the first thing you have to do is to decide what cop you're dealing with. You dealing with surf cop? Are you dealing with a guy that was going to be a postal worker and ended up being a cop? Are you dealing with Captain America? Are you dealing with the ex-military guy? Like, you got to figure that out immediately, because if you don't, you know, you can find yourself in a bad situation. I've told this story 100 times. Someone here may have talked themselves into a $300 jaywalking ticket, and I earned every one of those dollars because I dealt with a Captain America cop, and I, you know, didn't like it. And whether you like it or not, the cop does have the ability to tell you no, and you don't get to do what you want to do. So I do find it a little, I find it a bit much that everyone is like, this cop is just so in the wrong, and Chef, this is ridiculous. You know, yes, it could have been avoided by the cop not overreacting, and also could have been avoided by Scottie Scheffler doing what the cop told him to do, because, well, he's a cop with a badge and a gun.